All right, now I've got all of my Taekwondo pictures out. And this is the most pictures I have of any subject in my photo album. In fact, this is almost all of the martial arts pictures I have, except for a few big ones that I've got tucked away. Now here is something Master Tay sent in one of his letters. He had the stamp designed for him and put my name. So Master Tay is my kung fu teacher there. But I'm going to take you through the pictures I've gathered from Taekwondo before we move on to the next part of my photo album. And I've already talked a little bit about this one at the school on Flagler. That's where I started Taekwondo under Mr. Fisher. So it looks like I was getting my brown belt in that picture. And there I was sparring with Christina, I believe. And then after that, we got another school at the VFW Center on Stock Island. So they had an upstairs. It looked like a little stage and open floor where we could train. So I didn't get any pictures of that, but Mr. Fisher, I think he was moving away, so he handed the school off to his senior student, Raul Hernandez. He was a Cuban-born student, moved here at the age of 5, and I remember him really well. He was such a good student and such a nice man, and he oftentimes gave me rides home from class because he also lived up on Big Carpet. So I got to know him quite a bit. He went on to be a police officer eventually. Before that, we had the school on Stock Island. Then we got a nice school over there off of Kennedy Drive in the Kmart shopping center, just down from Specs Records. And here I have some pictures of a demo we did. So I actually recognize the black belt right there. That's Jenna. So her brother Jen. So Jen and Jenna were coming on a regular basis and were really good students, and we used to have some good parties at their house. Destiny Pierce, I'm still in touch with Destiny. She came for a little bit, and there I am executing a flying sidekick. So I had to have been about 15, 16, probably 16 years old in that picture. So there I am with Christina's mom. That's Pat Haley. Pat Haley was a probation officer, and she gave me rides home even though she lived in Key West, just because she always liked me. And I remember going to her house for little parties and sleepovers and stuff. And by training at Key West Taekwondo, like Raul Hernandez and a couple other people, I was trained with people who were going into the police department, who were probation officers, people who were military in the Navy. So I think that's a fun picture of me because it shows how much hair I used to have. And then board breaking, showing off in front of the audience there. Yeah, didn't break my foot. Instead, I broke the board. And so Taekwondo is meant to be military training. So we would have to stand in line, hands to our side, and say, sir, yes, sir, that type of thing. So anyways, let's go ahead and share. That'd be my second tournament. First tournament, I was a green belt. So I think maybe 88, we went into Miami and I competed. Well, the second time I went to Orlando. That was exciting, driving all the way up there to do a competition. And so here, American Taekwondo Association, ran by Master H.U. Lee. Okay, me competing for kata. I think I lost. Might have got second place on kata, but I don't know if I did too good in sparring. Believe it or not, I sucked at sparring. Now, this is a big day. See, I had a black and red belt at the time in these pictures. That's actually a first degree recommended, and then you have to test the first degree decided to get the solid black. So there I was, showing kata. Yeah, I think I recognize Mr. Lilly in the corner. We spent a lot of time training with Mr. Lilly. Now that's a cool little kid right there. He was an exceptionally good Taekwondo student, and in Taekwondo we like to demonstrate our vocabulary. So even though he's a short guy, I think I was showing a jump front kick. Now, there, I remember Manuel Blanco came up to become an instructor. There we are sparring for testing. He was a nice guy, Cuban born, still had the accent. And there I was setting up for my back elbow jump front kick. So it looks like before the board break. And so moving on, I did make my black belt, and we had a special photographer come and make these cool playing cards there. So there I am, a sassy teenager, and a very poor back stance. And it's cool. It has all the information you need. There I am, Jody Smith, age 17. Height, 5'4" I was heavy. I had big bones. First degree decided. Jose Hernandez was my teacher. I won my accomplishments there. Second place in form in Miami, 88-91. Yes, so that's really neat. We had our own playing cards made, right? And then so before I got my second degree black belt, I met a cute Navy guy, and it seemed like I had much better luck socially at Taekwondo than I did in high school, because I was an assistant instructor, and I think I was a pretty good student, a fairly good student. And so you got to imagine, I've taught a lot of beginners their first basics and how to make a fist and throw a punch. So I'm sure I've taught at least 100 or so people in my life those very basics. Now, anyways, it seemed like it was easier for me to get respected. So I ended up with a cute boyfriend from the Navy base. Now, my dad really hated this part of my life, so the only picture I have from that time, it was probably me and him at the barracks. I had dyed my hair black. I had this friend named Janet who used to dye her hair, so I started doing it too, right? So I'll talk about Janet a little later on. So that's probably like 11th grade there. And so by the time I got into 12th grade, this is where this testing happened. So that's the last school I trained at over on Flagler Avenue. Mr. Lilly built the floor, and he became the head instructor because Mr. Hernandez joined the police department. So I think that's me and Freddie Rodriguez. So we were what you call the conductor. So when people come out, we would tell them, Charet, Kuna, Chumba, and, give orders. So this is me testing over kata. And then Freddie was also testing over the same material. I'm going to go through these quickly, except for this one. I was really proud of that shot. Now, that's actually a flying hook kick, but with all the energy I had by being in front of the judges and the audience, I seemed like I jumped just a little extra higher to throw that kick. And so, yeah, whoever was taking pictures took lots of shots. That's the same kick on the other side. Look like my one side is better than the other, right? So, yeah, and so then we do what we call one-step sparring. So your opponent steps back and just throws a single strike, steps through with a striker kick. And then you do a bunch of moves to counter it. So I demonstrate these moves. And here I was about to fly up and throw a round kick, but it's so hard to time those. But I think I threw a real nice round kick, and it made his hair blow in the wind of my foot. And there's sparring. So, yeah. Now, I think there was a jump spinning side kick, and I did good. I did break the board. And apparently Freddie Rodriguez nailed his on his flying side kick. And I used to ride home with Freddie Rodriguez a lot, and he ended up going on to the police department. And so, yeah, he was getting into techno music around the time I was. So there's the class shot. So I did make my black belt, and although I had always helped out teaching, I had become a proper instructor in training. That's what the red stripe means. And since I had tried to get the black out of my hair, it made me a redhead. So there I am in a classic Taekwondo back stance with a double forearm knife hand block. And here, somebody caught me with my finger in my mouth. So that's me and Mr. Lilly. Now he grew up as a redheaded kid, on a military base there. Now his dad would be gone a lot, so he was mostly raised by his mother. Now he experienced a lot of bullying. So I felt like Mr. Lilly kind of gave me someone to relate to. And so I was his assistant instructor for quite some time there before we moved on. Now Mr. Silva came and took over the school, and he didn't particularly care for me, so that's why I dropped out. But by the time I dropped out, I was already going to Ron Curran to learn Kempo. Now I also have my credentials. That is my second degree recommended. Now that means I have to test again to be official. Now that's when I got that really neat black and red belt. I always loved it. And this is what most of our certificates look like, but I think this is the coolest one of all. I don't know why only one of them, but when I got my red belt decided, I think that's the coolest. Now, while I'm at it, I might as well share some of the others. Now, I was doing They called it Academy of Chinese Boxing, but that was Wushu Kempo taught by Ron Curran. And so yeah, I'll do other videos to share about this. So he taught at his house with a Marlboro cigarette in one hand and a Bud Light or a Budweiser in the other hand. So it was like I went from a very commercial, straightforward military style school to training with somebody that was formerly a musician in a rock band. So kind of got the yin and yang of it. And then I went to Denver. Now Ron made me aware of Shaolin Kung Fu and Tai Chi. So this is when you get your Tai Chi patch. And here's my credentials. I'm kind of thinking my 2nd degree black belt certificate is probably put away somewhere. And I did go to an intro class. I'm going to go ahead and show that off. And since then, I met a guy that was teaching a mixed style of Kung Tao Silat named Guru Brockman. So he gave me a lot of insight. I trained with him off and on for about a year before I left Colorado. And then when I got into Montana, I discovered Straight Blast Gym. So I was in and out of there for a couple of years. I mostly studied Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu while I was there. And then I took some judo and some of their mixed kickboxing. And then you also get a little yoga and weightlifting and all this stuff. So it was a really great place to, because I feel like, you know, what's been going on with me is I've been going back in time, learning the history of martial arts, but then I realized it's time to get caught up on what's modern. So that's why I've got these boxing gloves. And although I haven't been in class, I do train a little bit at home and at the gym. And I wanted to point out quickly that Master Tay is the head of the Shaolin Kung Fu, and he wrote this book about his life. So this is one of my things I'd like to share briefly. Thanks to Linda Hanman, she made this nice display for me after my 2nd degree black belt testing. And Master Tay gave me this book. You know, after I moved to Montana, I got him on the phone and talked to him a little bit. And so he sent me this because he had also grown up going into the visionary state because he experienced a lot of violence in his life and things like that. So in a roundabout way, I feel like Master Tay has kind of helped me see that I'm not alone. You know, I really appreciate all of my teachers and everyone I've ever trained with. So thank you very much for all of it. And so this has been mostly about my Taekwondo training, but later on, as I unpack at my new home or wherever I decide to settle, I would really like to go through all of my martial arts training and share a little bit about what each martial arts provides. And so I don't feel that martial arts has really helped me solve all of my problems in my personal life. However, it has definitely provided a lot of great exercise. And so I'm a lot stronger and flexible than I would be otherwise. I'd probably be fat as a house if I hadn't been into martial arts. And it's definitely given me some confidence in going into situations where you might need martial arts. And then otherwise, I feel like what we really need to work on is our mental health. So we're going to talk a little bit about that strategy. So in the future, like I've realized if I ever create a program of any kind, I'd really like to incorporate a lot of mental health training into it, because we really only need a small portion of what is taught out as martial arts. The rest of it is because you love to train and you also have to adapt to fighting other martial artists. But really, most of what you need to be a martial artist is good physical health and good mental health, and the actual technical training you get is really only the tip of the iceberg. So to put that all in perspective, you guys have a great day and I'll talk to you soon.